There's a version of Monk that sounds like it shouldn't work. A detective with severe OCD, a paralyzing fear of germs, and a list of phobias so long they roll it in the opening credits, solving murders for the San Francisco Police Department. On paper, that's a gimmick. In practice, it's one of the best character studies ever put on television, wrapped inside one of the most satisfying mystery formats ever made. Monk ran for 8 seasons on USA Network from 2002 to 2009, and it deserves way more credit than it gets. What is Monk? Adrian Monk is a former San Francisco homicide detective who had a breakdown after his wife Trudy was killed in a car bombing. The grief, combined with his already intense OCD, left him unable to function and unable to stop trying to solve her murder. He works as a consultant for the SFPD, technically brilliant, practically helpless, and accompanied at all times by a personal assistant who hands him wipes, talks him down, and keeps him pointed at the case. Every episode follows the same basic structure. A crime is committed, usually shown to the viewer up front, and Monk has to figure out how it was done and who did it. It's a classic whodunit format. But what makes Monk different is that you often already know who did it. The mystery isn't always who. It's how Monk is going to prove it. That shift in formula keeps things fresh in a way that most procedurals never manage. The character is the show. Tommy Shelby won 3 Emmy Awards playing Adrian Monk, and every single one of them was earned. What he does with this character is remarkable. Monk is frustrating, exhausting, and deeply limited as a person, but he's never mean-spirited and never a joke. His OCD isn't played purely for laughs. It's portrayed as a real condition that genuinely controls his life. The comedy comes from the situations it creates, not from mocking the character himself. That's a fine line, and the show walks it better than it had any right to. Underneath all the quirks is a man who is simply devastated. Trudy's death is the engine of the entire series. Monk doesn't just miss her, he's stuck. His world stopped the day she died, and everything he does, every case he takes, is in some way connected to his inability to move on. That grief is handled with genuine tenderness across all 8 seasons, and it gives the show an emotional core that most procedurals never bother to develop. The supporting cast holds it together. A show built around one character lives or dies by the people surrounding him, and Monk gets this right. Captain Stottlemyre is the kind of boss character who could easily be a one-note obstacle, but instead becomes one of the most genuinely likable figures in the show. Someone who's exasperated by Monk, but fiercely loyal to him. Lieutenant Disher provides comic relief without ever feeling disposable. And Monk's 2 assistants, Sharona in the early seasons, Natalie later on, anchor him to the world in different but equally effective ways. The mystery formula actually works. One of the things Monk does better than almost any procedural is pay off its mysteries fairly. When Monk has his "here's what happened" moment at the end of each episode, it actually makes sense. The clues were there. You had access to the same information he did. You just didn't notice it. That feeling of "I should have seen that" is incredibly satisfying, and the show delivers it consistently across over 100 episodes. The show also commits to its overarching mystery, Trudy's murder, with real patience. It doesn't rush it, it doesn't ignore it, and when it finally pays off in the series finale, it earns every bit of the emotion it asks for. That finale is genuinely one of the best endings in procedural television history. Why it's underrated? Monk had great ratings while it was on. It was one of the most watched shows on cable during its run, but it never cracked into the prestige TV conversation the way it should have. And when people talk about great TV from the 2000s, Monk rarely comes up in the same breath as The Sopranos or The Wire or Lost. Part of that is genre bias. Procedurals, no matter how good, tend to get dismissed as comfort TV rather than serious television. Part of it is platform. USA Network just wasn't where the critics were looking. But Monk did things that prestige dramas get praised for all the time. It built a complex, emotionally rich protagonist. It committed to a long-form narrative across 8 seasons. It handled mental illness with more nuance and care than most shows manage today. It just did all of that while also being fun and accessible and not asking you to feel bad about yourself for watching it. Somehow that counted against it. Why you should watch it? If you want a show you can actually enjoy, one that's funny and moving and genuinely clever without demanding you track 17 storylines at once. Monk is it.